We're going to talk about choosing care for your baby. And my name is Lauren George. I have a background as an infant toddler teacher, so that's kind of where my expertise lies. And then I also have two kiddos of my own. I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. Both were in childcare. My son was in childcare at 6 weeks and my daughter at 12 weeks. So I know what that process looks like as a parent. And I also know how overwhelming it can be to send your 6-week-old off to childcare. So Childcare Answers is part of a larger network of childcare resource and referral agencies. We are housed in Marion County and we serve Marion, Hendricks, and Hamilton, but there are people across the whole state to support you. So if you are not in one of our counties, it's okay. You can still reach out to me. I can still work with you, and I can also provide a warm handoff to a specialist in your area. So first and foremost, I think it's important to note that you are your child's first teacher and you are the biggest advocate for your child. So as you're finding care, you get to choose where your baby goes. And I want to make this really clear that you get to make that choice. And if you've made a choice and then you decide later that this is not where I want my baby, you can move your baby to a new program. You want to find a program that you feel safe and comfortable in, because if you feel safe and comfortable there, your baby will also feel safe and comfortable there. So you are their advocate. And you advocate for their needs. So if you're choosing to breastfeed, advocate for that within your childcare program. Make it known that this is something that you wish to do, and you want that program to support you. If Safe Sleep is kind of on the top of your radar, make sure that you're choosing a program that also values that. So know what you want, know what your hopes are for childcare, know what your goals are as a parent, and find a program that mirrors that. So this is a picture of Jamie. She is our family engagement specialist, and she has a baby. So she just went through this process. So I was talking to her about what she was looking for in care. And she said that she really knew that she wanted a program that was safe and inviting. Safe Sleep was at the kind of the top priority for her. She wanted to know that her baby was safe, especially during sleep when she wasn't there. She wanted an environment where cribs were visible and materials were engaging. She wanted a space where those materials could grow with her, knowing that a 6-week-old and a 6-month-old and a 12-month-old are 3 very different babies, and their needs are very different and they grow very quickly. So she wanted a space that could provide the materials and support to allow her to grow, and where she would be engaged in learning opportunities. And lastly, she wanted a space where she felt welcome as a new mom. Being a new mom can be very overwhelming. You're kind of learning right alongside of your baby. So you want to choose a program with the teachers in that space value you as a new mom and don't look at you like they know more than you. And they really follow your lead as a parent. So that's really, really important. So like Jamie, she started to identify, what do I want in a program? What kind of program do I want? What kind of setting do I want for my child? What quality level do I want? And what are some of those aspects that I want, like Safe Sleep, like a program that welcomes me as a mom? So first she had to identify the type of care that she preferred. And so in Indiana, these are pretty much your options when it comes to childcare. So first you kind of need to know, what setting do I prefer? So you have your facility-based childcare programs. These are things like centers and ministries, larger buildings that house lots of kiddos. Think about your Primrose and your Goddard and your KinderCare. They're in a building of their own, and children are separated by age. So you have an infant classroom, you have a toddler classroom, a twos classroom, and so on. So as your child gets older, they will move from classroom to classroom, typically with the same group of children as they get older. So that kind of gives you an idea of that type of care. That is care that most people know about, right? In addition to facility-based care, you also have home-based care. So these are your family child care programs. These are licensed programs in somebody's home or in a home that they rent out specifically for childcare. Children are combined, typically where you have infants all the way through school age in the same environment. And it's a smaller setting, so there's less kids. So there's a max of 12 to 16 children, depending on the type of home they are. So both a facility and a home come with its pros and cons, depending on what you're looking for. Some families prefer their child to be in a classroom of same age peers. Others prefer them to be in more of a residential setting where there is that mix of an age and they're learning from each other. Do know that ratio for infants is really low. You want one caregiver to no more than 4 babies. So infant care fills up very quickly. And right now there is a staffing shortage in childcare, so there are not very many openings. So the earlier you can get started as a parent, the better. So getting on a wait list while you're pregnant is your best bet when you're finding a quality program for infants. Your other 2 types of care is nanny or in-home care. And this is either someone coming in your home to watch your child or sending your child to somebody else's home who's unlicensed, typically a stay-at-home mom who wants to take on a few extra kiddos for a little bit of money. Again, this comes with its pros and cons depending on what kind of setting you want for your child. And lastly, you have your unlicensed programs. These are typically your mom's day out programs or your part-day, part-time programs, like 2 days a week or half-day programs. Work well for some families, they don't work well for others. So again, it just comes down to the type of care that you're looking for. At Childcare Answers, we can help you find licensed childcare. We can help you search for unlicensed care, and then we can give you tools to select the right nanny or in-home program. So in addition to the type of care, you also want to identify your other needs. What days and hours do you need care, and what is your budget for care? Because if you find the best program in the world that you're in love with, but they're not open the hours you need them to be open, or they're too expensive, they're just not going to work for you. So use these tools as a way of kind of narrowing down your search. Okay, I found a group of programs that I'm interested in. Now let's start to weed them down. And weed them down by those days, hours, and cost. Also identify some of those program qualities that are important for you as a family. Things like breastfeeding, safe sleep, homemade baby food, cloth diapering. What do you do as a family that you want to be carried over into the classroom? Additionally, do you need part-time or full-time care? Some programs do not offer part-time care for infants. They don't start part-time care until 2 or 3 year olds because of the cost that it takes to care for a baby, as well as the fact that they can only have a small number of babies. So if they have a part-time family or a full-time family, they're going to choose the full-time family. So you may need to pay for full-time care, even if you're only sending your child part-time. Which kind of stinks, but then you're guaranteed a full-time spot once your child gets older and you do want a full-time opening as a toddler or a 2-year-old. Another tool for weeding down your search is Past Equality. So Past Equality is the voluntary rating scale for childcare programs. It's only available for licensed and registered programs. So not everyone can participate, and it is one tool in narrowing down your search for quality care. So it can help you identify programs at a higher level of quality. It doesn't mean that programs that aren't on Past Equality aren't quality. It's just one tool on helping you narrow down that search. So like I mentioned, I can help you find childcare, but you also have other places. Ask your friends and family, where do you go? What do you like? What do you don't like about this program? What have you heard? Search the internet as a way of just kind of gathering information. Ask around and look around the community And then at Childcare Answers, we can help as well. So we have a database of licensed programs that we can search through based on your criteria. We can give you a list of options that helps you kind of start to weed down that process. So we give you a list, we give you tools to help you make the best decision. And then you take that list and you start interviewing and touring programs to decide what you prefer. If you're interested in that, you can scan the QR code on the screen. I'll also have it up at the very end. If you don't have your phone handy, that's fine too. Or you can just go to childcareanswers.org and click on the Find Childcare button. So we have a whole team at your disposal. So I am the family support specialist. My role, like I mentioned earlier, is to support families in childcare, one-on-one support and workshops, specializing in infants and toddlers, and then children with special needs. Megan works with non-English speaking families. She speaks Spanish, but she also works with any family using translation services. And then Jamie is our family engagement specialist, and she specializes in preschool, pre-K, and children with special needs. So you may hear from one or all of us as we work to support you. So now that you've got a list of programs, where do you go from here? I have my list. I don't know how to narrow it down. I don't know what I'm looking for. What should I be asking on a tour? What should I be looking for when I visit a program? I know to look at past equality level. I know the type of program that I want, but what else? So start by looking around, whether you're touring in person or because of COVID, you're touring virtually over Zoom. Observe the space, ask to see what's going on, go into the space where your baby will be, but also look at the other age groups because your child will get older. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable not only with the infant space, but with the toddler space and the preschool space if you choose to keep your child there. Look around for signs of quality. These things might be babies on the floor playing rather than confined to devices. This may be teachers engaged in one-on-one conversations with kiddos. It may be artwork on the walls that all looks different and not this cookie cutter, everyone need the same type of thing. It's children playing and not sitting down and doing worksheets in the older classrooms. So in the infant space, you want to see, is it a soothing environment? Is it chaotic or is it soothing? You want to make sure that that space is soothing and relaxing. Yes, there's going to be babies screaming and crying. That's okay, that happens, babies cry. But if the caregivers are overwhelmed by the crying, then it's probably not a soothing place to be. You also want to ensure safe sleep practices. All infant teachers in licensed programs are required to attend safe sleep training. So you want to make sure that babies are sleeping on their backs and in a crib and not sleeping in devices. Additionally, babies cannot be swaddled in childcare. That does not mean you have to stop swaddling at home. It's just having appropriate expectations about what that transition might look like to care. Babies learn to adjust to different environments, and they're going to learn how to sleep in childcare the way that their body needs to sleep in childcare. And it may and probably will look different than the way that they sleep at home, and that's okay. That was something that I had to work through as a mom when my kiddos went to school. My son did not sleep in the infant classroom. If he took a 10-minute nap, that was as good as it was going to get. He had FOMO. He didn't want to miss anything, and there's always something going on. So that was something that I needed to adjust for as a mom. You also want to look for a secure and open space. So space for your babies to move, but also that there aren't things that they're going to pull over on themselves or tripping hazards for those kiddos who are starting to walk, things like that. Also look for personal touches. Do you see the children's names? Do you see parents' names? Do you see pictures of their families around this space? Are the families brought into the environment in a way that makes those babies feel safe and secure, that they have those touches of home there as well? You want to look to make sure that there are toys that are simple and interesting, that are going to grow with them, like teethers, rattles, balls, blocks, push toys, those types of things. And then there are small physical challenges for those kiddos who are starting to crawl and roll over and walk, like risers or push toys, or teachers putting toys just slightly out of reach to encourage a baby to roll over. So these are the signs of quality care that we might look for or observe in the classroom. In addition, come prepared with questions to ask about signs of quality. You're going to have things that are important to you that may be different than your friend. You may talk to your friend who's also looking for care, and you have a different set of questions, and that's okay. Decide what's important to you and make sure you ask those things when you're touring a program or speaking with the staff on the phone. So ask yourself or ask the staff, are children being watched at all times, including while sleeping? What does supervision look like? Are infants napping on their backs and in cribs with nothing in that environment? Again, safe sleep is a huge piece of infant care. Are caregivers welcoming and warm? Are they inviting? Do they have a tone that makes you feel comfortable in that space? Do staff engage one-on-one during routine care? So during diapering and feeding, are they doing that as an opportunity to connect one-on-one with the baby, like singing a song with them or making eye contact? Or are they trying to feed 3 babies bottles at the same time? Are infants' individual schedules followed, including eating and sleeping? Every infant should not be eating or sleeping at the same time. Individual schedules should be followed. So something that was really important for me was to ask questions around individual schedules. Are you going to follow the same routine that we use at home? How are you going to read my baby's cues to know when it's time for my baby to eat or go to sleep? If everyone is napping at the same time and the lights are off in the infant space, that is a red flag that is not a program that's going to follow your baby's schedule. And then does that program follow your lead, including breastfeeding, homemade baby food, cloth diapering, whatever it may be? As a breastfeeding mom, I wanted to ensure that I was welcome to come in and nurse on site whenever I chose to. And if I was on my way to pick up and my baby was due for a bottle, that they would hold him off while I was on my way so that I could nurse when I picked him up. Those are really, really important to me. So I wanted to make sure that those were respected and my views as mom were respected. So the answer to all of these things obviously should be yes, but start making that list of things that are really, really important to you as parents. And another thing to really look for when it comes to care, which does not happen in every program. So when you find it, you've found a quality program, are programs that provide both primary caregiving and continuity of care. And primary caregiving is when one caregiver is assigned to the basic needs of a core group of children. So what this looks like in care is you might have 8 babies in a space with 2 teachers. One teacher is primarily responsible for 4, and the other teacher is primarily responsible for 4. Those core groups always remain the same. It doesn't mean that the other teacher isn't going to care for babies outside of their core group, but most of the feeding and diapering is done by the primary caregiver. This is because bonding and relationships is essential for infant toddler care. And so when programs practice primary caregiving and then continuity of care on top of that, which means that the caregivers and children remained as consistent as possible so that there are not people coming in and out of the classroom or children aren't being bumped to another classroom. They've gone above and beyond to ensure that quality measures are being followed to make sure that infants are feeling safe and secure in their space and learning the best that they can. So primary caregiving and continuity of care may be questions on your list. How do you follow primary caregiving? And if they don't know what you're talking about, then that might not be the program for you. Again, not everyone does this, but when you find it, you've probably found a gem. So as we wrap up, I just want to draw your attention to some of the tools on our website that can help you narrow down your search and give you ideas of other questions you can be asking. These are tools both for infants and older children. So again, QR code if you want to scan it, or you can just go to childcareanswers.org/choosing-care. We have a child care program checklist that you can print and use. We also have tools on navigating tours during a pandemic, especially if you're not comfortable going in person for tours or if programs aren't doing those yet. And then resources on inclusive childcare for children with special needs. And then we have a whole family engagement toolkit as well. So chock full of resources to help you make the best decision for you and your family. So last but not least, to draw us back to where we started, the choice is truly yours to make. You know your baby best, and we're here to help you. We are going to listen to you, find out what you want and what you need, and then give you a list of programs that meet that as best as possible. Again, start that search early. The earlier the better, because infant care does fill up quickly, especially quality programs. But at the end of the day, follow your gut. Trust what your gut is telling you. Your gut will tell you yes or no to a program as you're touring and talking to them. And if you've made a choice and then that choice ends up not being the choice that you continue to want to make, know that it's okay to change programs. Also, if you find a program that you like for infants, but you don't love for toddlers, and you know you want to change programs, we can give you a list of toddler programs and you can get on a wait list so that you can make that change. I know several people who found programs that they loved for infants and they wanted something different for their toddler, and they moved programs when their baby turned 1. So follow your gut. The choice is yours to make. So here is my contact information, again, with a QR code to our family info form. If you are looking for care, if you want to reach out, or feel free to email me.